Did you know winter makes things sweeter? I'm Liz Barney, and this is The Open Spoon. Every full moon, my neighbors and I gather at the Washtenaw Food Hub for a seasonally themed potluck of local food, stories, and nature. Think of it like a farm-to-table dinner where everyone brings something to the table, whether it's a dish or a story, or even helping set the table. In March, our theme was hope, as embodied by the sweetness that emerges with spring, and the challenge was to bring a dish or a story connected to that theme. While my neighbors to the west were gathering maple sap, my neighbors to the east were harvesting a different kind of winter sweetness.
Hello.
Hi, Liz.
Where are we at?
Yeah, so this is Green Things Farm.
Oh, yeah.
This spinach is the hardiest green around. If it gets down to freezing temperatures, this stuff is going to be fine. It's actually just going to make it sweeter. It kind of creates its own antifreeze by sending sugars up into its leaves, making it the sweetest, most special spinach around.
It must feel so good to have your hands on like greens all the time.
It is such a therapeutic thing to be able to come in here and kind of get warm and be around these living, breathing plants when everything else is kind of gray and sleeping still. We call this a passive solar greenhouse because we're essentially utilizing the sun to heat this place up. We started using a permanent bed system about 7 years ago in response to the challenges that we were having with the soil structure here. But the other things that make permanent bed systems so great is that you are not disrupting the soil on a regular basis, so you are keeping the soil biology intact and really cultivating a living soil that continues to feed the plants.
One fun thing I've learned is that soil is a living, breathing system full of connective tissue, so the less you disturb it, the healthier it is.
You know, it's partly, a principle that we are not trying to put synthetic amendments on our land. We're really trying to be proactive in feeding the soil, feeding the biology so that they can kind of do the work for us.
You have to feed the thing that feeds you, basically. Yeah. Like in the same way that like if you didn't feed your animals, they would die, right? Like
exactly.
How does like the soil affect like how food tastes or nutrition or like I don't know with the greens?
It's so funny. I because I have been growing and eating these greens for so long, I don't have a lot of frame of reference for how they are very different from grocery store greens. I have only heard from our members and our customers just like the stark difference in kind of density of taste, color, and also just how long these things last. We do charge a premium price for all of our greens because we also live in Ann Arbor and, the cost of living and just the cost of production is very real. But we tell our customers that this bag of greens is probably going to last you twice as long as, what you're getting at the grocery store. And it's going to feel heartier and just more, kind of have more sustenance to it.
Why? Why does it have more sustenance to it?
I mean, it's a good question, but I mean, partly I think that we do probably stress our plants out a little bit more than in a really controlled environment or an environment where they're really, kind of spraying on a schedule or watering on a schedule. These plants have to fend for themselves a little bit, and they have to be a little bit hardier, and they have to develop, these chemicals in them that are also protecting themselves. And, I'm not speaking any real science here, but these are the things that, I truly believe are part of why our plants taste so good. You gotta get through challenging experiences to get that sweetness of life. Maybe that's the story here.
I like that.
This is how I keep my back healthy, so I balance things on my head.
Hannah packed me up a bag of the sweetest, most special spinach, and then I headed to Chef Zoe's house.
Cheers. What are you making right now?
I am making spanakopita, aka spinach pie.
All right, what do we have here?
Just a bunch of onions and some oil, salt and pepper. Truly like more onions than you think you could really need.
Can't cook without an apron. What kind of chef are you?
I don't know, dude. I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot I'm a chef. Dude, this guy. They're looking good though. They're getting a little brown. We steamed them up. I already cooked off the spinach.
Is this a family recipe?
Kind of. It's like, it's something that like my yaya taught my mom. I just try and remake stuff. Try and make it my way. I don't know, maybe it's better. No, I'm getting cocky. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to grab a little something else. I'm going to wring this out because it's a little wet still. Mm-hmm. My mom would always make it from frozen spinach. And then I started working on farms. And I was like, it's way better with fresh spinach. And I like a lot of dill in my spinach pie.
Have you always just like cooked with local food, or is that kind of like a...
No, actually, so I didn't really grow up around local food at all. I didn't know it existed, even though it was like in my backyard, because I grew up down the road from here. I'm adding 2 eggs. And it wasn't until I started dating this woman who's a chef, and she like blew my whole world open, and I realized like, my God, there's like food out my back door. And that was really the start of starting to like realize seasonality and being more in touch with my environment ultimately. Here's like definitely a fucking cottage cheese. This is not something you're gonna find in Greece, but this is something my yaya always did. And then some feta.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, this is a hot tip my mom used to always do. If it was ever like too wet, like a little loose, she would like crumble up some saltines and like put it in there. Just kind of like winging it, But yeah, so I've got a little 9x13 pan. I'm gonna like coat the bottom with melted butter. And I'm gonna start constructing my base.
I think that sometimes when I go to the farmer's market, I'm like, what do I do with this? Or what is this?
Yeah.
Or like, you're teaching me something new about overwintered greens. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So
I know. Well, that's the thing too, is I feel like even just like eating food that's in season, like it is just so flavorful. And I feel like it brings people into the present in such a way where like having overwintered greens, like it's like special in a way. Because of all this time that it took for them to get to that point of being like so sweet.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like not always available, it's kind of like makes you savor it more.
So yeah, I'm just like still loading up butter in between every single sheet of this. So I've got about maybe 5 sheets left, and I'm going to start tucking in the sides now. So we're going to start putting it to bed. I mean, the greens are really sweet. I'm like thinking about the way the filling tastes. Like it is really, especially with the onions. I put a lot of onions in there, which I do think is truly the answer. A lot of onions, a lot of dill is the answer to a good spinach pie, in my opinion.
Dill is...
The dill, I know, I really...
What's the dill?
What's the dill? Big dill. It's kind of a big dill. It obviously is a bit of a labor of love, but you can make it in advance and bake it the day of. So it's fresh.
Is it scoring time?
It's scoring time.
Not musical instruments.
No.
Not music. Not scoring music. Okay, so what's the, like, when you cook it tomorrow,
Yep.
what are you going to do with it? What's the process?
So I'm going to preheat the oven to 350, and I'm going to put it in for like, I don't know, maybe an hour. And I'm really just waiting for it to get like the right color of brown, which is like a nice, like deep golden brown. You don't want it to be soggy. And I like because of all the butter that we put in there, it's gonna encase it and like, not like frying, but like the whole thing is just gonna have so much fat to be cooking in. It's a real delight.
Awesome.
The last part of preparing for the open spoon is gathering a selection of native plants. This month we found the theme of hope in the white cedar plant that stays green during the winter and is also known as the tree of life. Alright, so we're in a marshy area here, and this is where the white cedar grow. So you can see there, these guys hanging down. This thing is chock full of nutrients and vitamins that keep a lot of things alive during the winter and give them hope. You can see there's some on the ground here from the deer having a snack. In 1536, actually, a group of Native Americans saved a group of explorers suffering from scurvy by making them a tea with this bad boy. Just pull them down. Look at those. I made a cup of tea before the event, and it completely cured my headache. At the beginning of our potluck, everyone starts by creating an arrangement from the plants to set the table, and then at the end of the event, they take their arrangement home. We had everyone share a little more about the dishes they brought that were inspired by the theme, and then others shared stories about a time that they had experienced hope. Afterwards, I like to ask people to share themes that they noticed. I kind of call it philosophizing from the gut up. One woman shared a proverb about how hell is a place where you are served soup with a foot-long spoon and you try to feed yourself, but heaven is a place where you are served soup with a foot-long spoon and you feed each other. My friend Priscilla said maybe hope is a gift you give others by reminding them that they have it already within themselves.